Mr. Ward, welcome, and then please proceed, Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Harkin, for the opportunity to testify before you today, Ranking Member Enzi, and the other distinguished senators. My name is Tom Ward, and I'm a member of the International Union of Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers, Local 1, Michigan, and it is an honor to be here today. Thank you. What I'm about to share with you is deeply personal, but the reason I agreed to speak with you today is much more important than just my story. It's a chance to speak on behalf of every American worker in the country. I was just 13 years old when my dad passed with silicosis. He did sandblasting work for about 6 years in his 20s. And I remember going to work with him one day, and I was amazed. A rusty old truck frame came in, and man, it looked brand new at the end of the day. And I see that same look in my son's eyes every time he sees me fix something around the house or build something or look at a building that I had something to do with. My dad eventually moved on to a better job with better pay, benefits for the family, and he was a proud member of the Teamsters Union. A few years into his new job, he started becoming short of breath. And the doctors couldn't figure it out for quite a while. The official diagnosis of silicosis came when he was 34. It took 5 years to kill him, and he died at the age of 39. It was a slow and very painful process for our family to watch. As painful as it was, the hardest day for me is the last day he worked. He came in, closed the door, fell to the ground and started crying. He said, just can't do it anymore. I started my apprenticeship in 1991 after working as a laborer for a few years. I had no idea that I was going into a trade that had the same hazard. I was exposed to the same hazard that killed my father, and I didn't know. I didn't have the training at the time. Training back then, it was just 20 years after the OSHA Act, so it wasn't a big deal at the time. It was only after several years ago that I became involved in training myself that I learned of the hazards, the details of the hazard, what it's about, what is silicosis. I was in a train-to-trainer course at our international training center, and the presenter showed us a video called Stop Silicosis. I don't know if anyone in here has seen it, but what was shocking for me is that the video was produced in 1938. Almost 70 years ago, we knew exactly what it was. Thousands of people were dying every year due to silicosis. And there's simple control hazards to fix it. In some cases, most cases, it's as simple as adding water to whatever you're drilling or grinding. And it's on YouTube if you want to take a minute to look at it. The workers in that video refer to their jackhammers as widowmakers. I'm here to tell you, we have our own modern-day widowmakers on construction sites. Masonry saws, concrete saws, and grinders, when they're used dry, are our widowmakers. They just came around in the late 70s, 80s. So to set a timeline up for you, it's my generation of guys that are going to come down with it next, in my opinion. The control measures are simple as water or hooking up a vacuum. Manufacturers of these equipment have been on board for a couple decades almost. Most saws and grinders come with control measures, and we're supposed to use engineered controls. It's real simple. Every year about 4,000 or 5,000 people die on the job, and in our OSHA classes, we have to spend 6 hours on the Focus 4, the 4 leading causes of death on the job, and only 2 on health hazards. Hazards that kill 50,000 people every year. It's amazing to me that we can't get this done. In my opinion, the problem is, it's not the contractor's problem. It's your family's problem when you're trying to enjoy retirement. It'll get you a few years later. Since my dad died, there's been no change in the silica standard, and I wondered to myself if my family's gonna watch me suffer the same fate. We must get this done now. There's no telling how many workers have contracted silicosis in the 14 years that it's been in the process. The video I mentioned earlier states at the end that these workers will not have died in vain if we use what we have gained to help prevent workers to contract this disease. The standard is complicated, but I'm here to tell you it really isn't. If you look at the standard, it says that we are allowed to be exposed to 0.1 milligrams per meter cubed. This is 1 gram. If you divide it in 1,000 pieces and take 0.1, that's how much we're allowed to be exposed to in an 8-hour period. It doesn't take an industrial hygienist or a rocket scientist to figure out that if you're standing dry cutting in a plume of dust, you are well over the limit. In conclusion, I just want to say again that I am honored to be here today and be hopefully a small part of ensuring that my father and all that have perished on the job or from diseases from the job did not die in vain. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward, for a very poignant presentation. Appreciate it very much.